Hi everyone, welcome to a Replica Airguns video. My name is Michael K. and we're looking at an Airsoft machine pistol today. Now this product is made by KWA and distributed by ASG. It's a replica of the Swiss-made Brugger & Tomet MP9, and this is the A3 version. Now the differences between the A1 and the A3 has a rail like this one here that you can mount whatever you want on, and the A1 has a built-in foregrip. Now this gun is a development of the Steyr TMP, so it's based on the Steyr TMP machine pistol. And as far as comparing it to another gun that I have, I really don't have a modern machine pistol, so to speak of. I do have my mini Uzi, which I've done reviews on, and this is a nice little machine pistol. Similar, I guess, in that they both are machine pistols with folding stocks, and they do shoot in both semi and full auto. Now this particular one, the mini Uzi, has to be modded to shoot in full auto. And this is also the BB version here, 4.5mm BB, as opposed to the Airsoft version of the MP9. So make sure to check out my mini Uzi review as well. I've got a few different videos on the mini Uzi you can check out. Alright, so getting back to the ASG MP9 A3. It is a gas blowback semi and full auto single action only pistol. Again, it is a licensed replica of the real steel MP9. It uses 6mm plastic Airsoft BBs. It also has a 48 round dropout metal magazine which holds the 6mm BBs and your choice of gas. This gun weighs 1,750 grams, which is about 3.8 pounds. Now mine, with all of the accessories I've added onto it, weighed in at 5 pounds 3 ounces. So it does get up there when you start adding on a lot of gear. Now in the box it's claimed to have a feet per second rating of 328 FPS, but these versions I believe have been modified to bring them into Canada, to bring them up and get them into that magical 366 plus feet per second range which we need to be able to import them in without them having to have all the clear sections on them. And this gun was shooting somewhere between 350 to 370 feet per second for me, and that was using the 0.20 gram BBs. Now a lot of the external shell on this MP9 is polymer, but there is a lot of good usage of metal internally and in the mechanical parts that need to be metal. As I said, it is made by KWA, but it's licensed by Action Sport Games. Now keep in mind, a lot of companies these days don't make their guns. They find guns that they want to distribute and they'll rebrand them with their own name. Now it does come in a fairly nice box. I'll just quickly show you this. I can't get the whole thing all at one time. In here, you see here KWA, and on the other side ASG. Alright. Now inside the box you do get a manual, of course. Shows you some of the different variations of this gun here. So you get it in different colors and different styles. All you really need to know, all inside this manual. Inside the box you also get some sample BBs. You're going to go through these pretty quick. And you have a tool for adjusting your hop up right here. Alright, so let's take a look around this gun and look at the different parts. I'll explain to you some of the metal parts versus the polymer parts. Now right off the bat I do want to tell you what I've added to the MP9. I have added the foregrip, and I do sell this in the Canada store. It's an aluminum foregrip, so it's got some weight to it, which is nice. I also added this 1x25 red dot, and this is an NC Star red dot, fairly affordable. Fits on this Weaver or Picatinny rail. You can also flip the mounts around and put it on any dovetail style rail you want as well. And I chose this sight because it's not an overly large sight. I wanted to keep everything compact, and it worked well with this machine pistol. I've also added the single point sling because it's just cool. And you're going to want to walk around with this gun strapped on your shoulder, well, at least at home. Again, don't go outside walking around on the street with a gun like this. I think that's pretty common sense type of information, but you never know. Alright, so let's look at it a little bit here. We'll take a look at the left side of this gun here. I'm going to be hitting my tripod a little bit, but I want to get in here somewhat close. Now, some of the metal parts, the latch is metal, the bolt catch is metal, this is plastic, this is basically here, I'll show you. You can see that you've got your single. This tells me that I'm in single fire mode, so semi-auto. And this is plastic here. The magazine, actually, yeah, the magazine release is plastic. The magazine, by the way, is metal. And on the real version of this gun, it would be polymer. It would be like a clear polymer too, transparent. So that is a little different, but it does add some nice weight to the gun. Now, you've got some rails here on the bottom side. This is a metal rail. Your top rail is part of the frame, so it's polymer. The barrel shroud is also metal. All the pins are going to be metal. Your charging handle, now that one is going to be plastic. Many of the parts, sorry, I'm bouncing around here. Now many of the parts in the actual stock are metal, like the spring inside and this pin, and some of the supporting pins are metal, but the actual rear stock, folding stock, is polymer. And I'll just let you see that. Quite nice. I'm going to fold it up because it's easier to handle this gun with the stock folded. So there's your bolt. Let's get in here and take a look inside if we can. A little bit tough. I'm going to just close that for us. Alright, you can see here you've got your caliber, 9mm by 19, Swiss made. Now the branding on this gun, you can see it there, it does say there, that's really the only thing that you wouldn't find on the real gun is the ASG branding and the caliber 6mm BB. If that was gone, it would be really hard to tell the difference between this gun and the real gun. They're very, very close. Now, the rail on this side is metal. Forgot to mention I did add this cool light. Got to have a light. It was on the other side, I couldn't see it, but I've added that to this gun as well. It doesn't normally come with it. Now the trigger is, it does have a working safety, so that does need to be pressed in for the gun to work, or for the trigger to work and the action to work. If you look on this side, you'll see if I can get in here. Okay, there you go. You can see that's to indicate that it's full auto. So it just switches from side to side to switch between semi and full auto. And again, the barrel shroud is metal. Now the sights that come on it are fairly nice. They're just peep sights. Take a look there. Okay. Peep sight in the back. Just a post sight in the front. Very straightforward. Let's take a look at the scope real quick, or the red dot. Alright. And again, I sell a lot of these accessories, at least these ones, in the Canadian store. Okay, so at this point we're going to head outside. I'm going to shoot this gun through the chronograph, of course, 5 rounds through the chronograph using .20 gram BBs. See what kind of actual feet per second we get with each shot, and we'll average it out. Then I'm going to head back 30 feet away from the target, and I'm going to shoot 10 rounds initially in semi-auto mode at the target in a rested, or at least semi-rested position. See how accurate we can get with this gun. Again, I'll be using my red dot for that, so that will help a little bit. And then I'm going to go check things out, see how well we did, come back, and then shoot off the rest of the magazine, which will be about 35 rounds or so, at the target, and see how tight we can group it in full auto. Now once that's completed, we're going to shoot some cans. I'm going to record the can shooting in high definition and slow-mo for you. And then I'll probably finish off with some slow motion of the MP9 closer up with a bolt view so we can see the bolt moving back and forward in slow motion. Alright, so let's head outside and do the testing portion of this review. Alright, it's Mike here, and I've got my ASG MP9, and we're going to put 5 rounds through the chronograph and see what kind of feet per second we get. We're going to do this in semi-auto. We're not going to do full auto, obviously. So here we go, we're ready to go. And shot number 1. 369. Shot number 2. 366. By the way, we are using .20 gram BBs. 358. So we are above the 366 for some of them, which brings us into the legal classification that we need here in Canada. Shot number 4, 355, and shot number 5, 361. Now I did just a preliminary test, and I did get a little bit higher feet per second, not much, about into the 370s, 375, and a little bit higher. But you know, I've been playing around with the gun. Mag's a little cooler than it was initially. I did let it warm up a bit, but it's performing very well. I'm going to go to the shooting portion. This is where this gun is a lot of fun. And we're going to shoot some semi-auto first just to see how well it does in terms of accuracy from 30 feet out. Then we're going to do a full auto burst. We'll also shoot some cans, and I'll do that in high speed as well and show you some blowback action with some high speed slow motion footage too. So make sure to watch that in a bit. Alright, so we're all ready here. I've got my ASG MP9 again, and we're going to do the accuracy portion. I'm 30 feet out. I'm going to be using the sandbag here as my rest. I'm standing in the back, and we're going to start out with semi-auto first. I'm going to shoot 10 rounds into the target. Then I'm going to take a quick look, come back, and then shoot full auto, because that's the most fun, right? Obviously. So let's get started. Alright. Now, I have sighted this red dot in a little bit. It's not exactly on, but it's pretty close. Alright, let's take a look. Not bad at all. Fairly tight group. I'd say that's close to 2 inches and fairly well centered. Could be just a little bit higher. We're going to head back and shoot the rest of the 35 rounds in full auto into this target. I did load this magazine up with 45 rounds, so we should have 35 left. Alright, now this gun shoots really fast, has awesome blowback. It's not really heavy, but it's tight and it sounds great. So this is going to be fun. I think that's it. Should lock back. But I think it got a little too cold to do a full cycle. Anyways, let's head out. See? Alright. It did go a little bit lower, but it still shot fairly tight, fairly accurate. That was 35 rounds. Alright, next we're going to shoot some cans filled with water. Don't worry, I'm not going to be wasting any beer. We're going to shoot some beer cans full of water. We're going to capture this with a few different cameras in high definition and also in slow motion for you. Alright, we're all set up for the can shooting portion of this test. I've got my ASG MP9. It's loaded up again with 45 rounds, full propane. By the way, you can get at least a couple magazines out of one fill, so not too bad for usage in propane. And I'm going to shoot these cans down there, and we're going to shoot it in high speed and high def. So let me go get my camera started, my high speed camera started, and we'll do this. Alright, so we're about 20 feet out, and I'm going to unload this gun, all 45 rounds, on these cans. Alright, that pretty much got the job done. Most of these cans have holes in them. About 45 BBs, not too bad at all. Alright, so at this point I'm going to do a little bit of high speed for you guys so you can see the bolt working in slow motion. And other than that, we're going to head inside and finish up this review. Alright, it's always fun shooting these full auto machine guns. Anytime I can do one of these reviews, I look forward to doing them. Now, as far as the chronograph portion of the test went, I got about where I wanted to, right in that 350 to 370 feet per second range. Now, when I initially shot it, I was getting up into the 370s, but as the magazine cools down, it will shoot a little bit slower for you. Now, I did get pretty decent accuracy in both semi and full auto. Now, because this gun doesn't have a lot of recoil because of the very light and fast bolt, I was able to keep most of my full auto rounds really well centered on target. Now, another thing I wanted to mention is I was using propane throughout this testing, and if I shot this gun, basically did a mag dump, you're going to pretty much use up most of that propane. But if you're doing some full auto burst mixed with some semi-auto shooting, and you're kind of coming back to it every once in a while, you're going to get a good 2 magazines, so close to 100 rounds out of each fill-up. Alright, so let's get into some of the pros and the cons. The ASG-KWA MP9 A3 is super fun to shoot. So fun factor, 10 out of 10. The rate of fire is extremely fast, and it doesn't seem to slow down much even when the gas starts to run out. And that's probably because it has a light, fast bolt. And one thing I really liked is this gun has some decent sound to it. It's fairly loud, so it may not be as backyard friendly as some guns, but boy, it has a nice sound to it. Sounds great. I found that even though it had a shorter barrel, it still had decent power, at least to get it up into our all-black Canadian import category. Now it is an excellent replica of the real steel Brugger and Tomet MP9. And as you can see, you can add a lot of accessories to this gun and really make it your own. Now overall, I found the price of this gun to be reasonable. It's not the cheapest gun out there, but for what you're getting, it offers a lot. So there were a couple cons, not really too many. One thing I found is when this magazine cooled down a lot, so when I was shooting it in full auto and getting near the end of the mag, the bolt didn't want to stay back for me. But I did find that the bolt stayed back no problem in semi-auto, and also when I was shooting shorter bursts in full auto. And what I'm talking about here is on the last shot, so the bolt is not supposed to stay back between shots, but when you empty the magazine, your bolt is supposed to stay back. Now the only other criticism I have for this gun, and it's in terms of realism, as far as what I like, I'm glad that it has an all-metal magazine, but in terms of realism and authenticity, it should be a transparent polymer. For me, I don't mind, but for some people, they may want to have the more real mag. Alright, so that pretty much sums up this review of the ASG MP9 A3 gas blowback airsoft machine pistol. Don't forget to come down to my Replica Airguns website and check out my written review, where I'll also have some photographs of this gun for you, so you can check those out too. Get in there and see some nice detailed pictures of it. I also have this gun available in my Replica Airguns store, at least the Canada version right now. Now if you've enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up to date on my future videos. I've also got a Twitter and Facebook channel set up for you, so that's another way you can keep updated on what's going on here at ReplicaAirguns.com. And my Twitter and Facebook username is Replica Airguns. Alright, so thanks again for watching another Replica Airguns video. Until next time, take care.